he actually said after the Medvedev match that this was the best level he's played at since the knee injury 3 years ago. I think it's gonna be definitely a close battle, and I I don't know, just have a feeling that Zverev will finally capitalize on and have a good Grand Slam run. It's the second time he is in the quarters, right? And he's the last time he was already knackered after having lost many sets at the French like 2 or 3 years ago, and he lost very easily to Team back then, and I definitely don't believe it's gonna be this easy now. Here.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be easy either way, but I think Zverev is the only player left in the draw who hasn't lost a set, so it's very unusual for him to kind of have done that. And off the back of his showing at the ATP Cup, where his game was nowhere, he was hitting double faults left, right, and centre. He was absolutely friendless coming into this tournament. I remember there's a piece up on the Last Word on Tennis website where the staff kind of gave their opinions on which seed might be the first one to go, and Alex Zverev was named, I think, 5 out of the 6 people named him to go out early, and here he is, like I said, not lost a set yet, into the quarterfinals, and you're tipping him to make it to the semis. So we'll just get a rundown of kind of a nail down a prediction for all those 4 quarterfinals. I'll kick it off. I'll go with Team Zverev. I'm going to go for Pavlyuchenkova over Muguruza and Halep. So, Gavin, you have some shots at that.
Yep, so team for me to win the first one is Zverev to beat Wawrinka, Halep to beat Kontaveit, and Muguruza to beat Pavlyuchenkova.
Yeah,
Damien?
Pretty much the same for me. Team, as you said, Zverev, Halep. I think Muguruza against Pavlyuchenkova is the one I'm a little bit torn about. Maybe Muguruza, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, for me, that's probably the toughest one to call. Novak Djokovic there is just given his post-match interview with John McEnroe after his victory there, and he's come out. I didn't see this at the start of the match. He's got the KB 24 on his tracksuit top there, and he's obviously very emotional, speaking about Kobe Bryant. He's a good friend of Novak Djokovic. He'd spoken about him only 2 days before, I think, about how he's kind of spoken with him a lot, and he's a real kind of role model for Djokovic. And I think it would be remiss of us to kind of pass this podcast without saying a word on Kobe Bryant. He's a massive tennis fan, and it's such a horrible thing to kind of read and see how it was all breaking, and then finding out that his daughter's also with him, and then obviously they've named now all the other 6 unfortunate people who are on board that helicopter. And I think it goes for all of us at the Last Word on Tennis establishment, and for the Last Word on Sports in all of our guys, is that all of our thoughts are with Vanessa, Kobe's wife, and the remaining children, and all of the extended family, and everyone who's been affected by what happened to Kobe Bryant and everybody else on that helicopter. Djokovic has obviously put that to the back of his mind whilst he's been playing today, but he's obviously very cut up about it, and I think he's done very well to put such a great performance together today. So again, our condolences to anyone who's been affected by that, and rest in peace for all of the people involved in that accident the other day. So, right, let's move on and talk about the men's draw in total. We had our predictions for what might happen tonight. Let's just take it as read that we're completely right about that, and that Team and Zverev will make it through. And we know that the other semi-final is going to be Federer versus Djokovic. Damien, how do you see that playing out now? We obviously have our predictions still going from before the podcast, but we all had Medvedev in the final, and he's gone. So how do you see it playing out from now?
Yeah, we all said that the Federer-Djokovic semi will decide the winner. Well, if Djokovic wins, then sure. I'm not so certain if Federer was to win it somehow. I mean, with Federer, it's pretty much how he regenerates now. He had that long injury, a medical timeout for his what was it, groin, I think. I'm not sure. It was something with his leg anyway. And for example, when he lost that 5-setter to Dimitrov at the US Open, he said that in 2 days he believes that his back would be all right, but there he would have 2 hours, not 2 hours, 2 days of break, and here he has only one, and it's also a different issue. So there's no real way of telling if Federer will be 100% fit against Djokovic. But I guess I would still stick with the prediction that whoever wins that semi will be will clinch the trophy on Sunday, especially as whoever wins it has one more day of rest than the other finalist. But I definitely think the win probability has kind of shifted towards Djokovic with how he played this event. Raonic was in brilliant form coming into the quarterfinals, and he just it's always you can't really be sure whether the fact that Raonic was struggling to win 3 points on serve is because he served just worse than before, or whether it's because Djokovic anticipates so well and returns so well. But I generally believe Djokovic is looking as the strongest player in the men's draw, and I would totally stick with him. As for the other half, as you said, we all picked Medvedev. It's not really happening. It pretty much might be anyone out of the 4 players left, I think, but I still think any one of them will lose to Djokovic on Sunday.
Gavin, do you think the odds have massively shifted towards Djokovic over the course of the tournament, maybe even over the course of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's not as if Federer's been playing great stuff throughout this tournament. He's really struggled. I mean, the forehand's been leaking errors. I think Djokovic, any doubts that Djokovic would have had or any teething issues he would have had would have been straightened out after that Struff match where he dropped that set 6-2. I think he's looking really good, and I just don't see anyone being able to beat him, being honest. I think it's going to be a big uphill challenge for any of them, but I just don't see how Federer can beat him, really. I don't see how Federer's been playing well enough. He's not got any confidence, really. And I guess the one thing you could say is he's got nothing to lose because there's no real expectation on him to win. But at the same time, I think Djokovic will be extra disciplined, especially after that loss in the World Tour finals, to get back in the head-to-head and get another win against Federer.
So I listened to an interview with Goran Ivanisevic, and he was saying how Djokovic was feeling a bit low on confidence after that ATP finals last year, and to have the ATP Cup where he played so well and led Serbia to the title there, and then for him to have this very good run in the Australian Open has probably put him in the right place to take revenge on Federer for what happened at the ATP finals. I also think that, I think I went for Djokovic before the tournament started, and I certainly have seen nothing in the play to have changed my mind on that regard. And I think Nadal, I think someone could give him a good game from the other side of the draw, but I can't see anybody beating him. So let's move on to the women's side of the draw. We know one semi-final. We talked about the other quarterfinals. Gavin, how do you see that one kind of playing out, and who will be the champion come the end of play on in Australia?
I think Barty wins the first semi-final against Kenin. I think it will go to 3 sets, but I think Barty with a bit more experience, home crowd as well, I think that will get her through. I think if it is Halep against Muguruza, I think Halep's just a more consistent player for me. I think she's slightly better on the hard court. So for me, it's going to be a Halep against Barty final, and I think Halep wins it in 3 sets.
Very confident. And so Halep, I didn't mention this earlier, I said about Muguruza going for her third slam on different surfaces. That would, of course, be the same for Simona Halep, having won the French and Wimbledon as well. So is that how you see it as well, Damien?
Well, in the last episode, I actually told you that Simona Halep was my pick to go out early. That didn't.
And she let's give ourselves some due there, because I even said as well, Jennifer Breda had her on the rack there in the first round. She served for it, didn't she, in the first set?
Yeah, exactly. She had 3 set points on her own serve, I think. So that was not that bad of a prediction. I also thought Daniel Collins might do the job in the third round, but Collins lost to Putintseva, which is not really a surprise given the slightly slower surface. But anyway, I kind of like Halep to win it all now too. I mean, she got through that first round, and she's been just fantastic ever since. She had some great runs here at DO before, for example, the final in 2018. I just think she's the most consistent player left in the draw, and it's obviously very open as we are used to on the women's side of things. But I don't know. She's my pick. That's all.
Yeah, fair play to Jack Roster-Munley if you're listening in.
Yeah.
He picked Simona Halep from the start to go all the way to the final. I mean, we did say, Damien, didn't we, that there was only 2 matches that people needed to watch in this Australian Open.
Yeah.
One of which is Federer-Djokovic, which if you have set your alarm for that, then fair enough, you're still going to get to watch that. But if you set your alarm for the women's quarterfinal, which was meant to be to decide the title between Osaka and Serena Williams, then I hope you really enjoyed Sofia Kenin versus Ons Jabeur anyway. But as an apology to all of you guys for that one, all 3 of us saying that would be deciding the women's title. For myself, I really want Ashley Barty to go on and win it now, if I'm honest. I'd love to see a home Grand Slam winner and the reaction that we'll get from the crowd. And Conservator being an amazing story as well. But I can see Simona Halep as well emerging from that bottom section to play Barty. Probably Barty. I hope she doesn't succumb to the pressure, and I hope it is our Barty Halep final. I think that'd be a great spectacle to watch. And now we'll go for Barty to win it in 3 sets over Halep. So that's the kind of renewed predictions for the women's draw there. If Halep does win, or if Muguruza does win, then that is a 3rd Grand Slam title on different surfaces for those players. And the quiz question that we picked out at the start of the podcast is which other women have won only 3 out of the 4 Grand Slams. So they can have won it multiple times, but haven't won all 4 Grand Slams. So we've got 5 answers. I wonder how many we can get. I think we might be able to get 4 out of the 5. Damien's going, no, I'll be able to get all 5.
No. Actually, no, I think I'm going to do much worse on that, but we'll see.
We'll start with Gavin. So, Gavin, you've not been on the podcast before. So what happens here is that I'll go from one expert to the next to see if you can give me a correct answer until we run out.
Okay.
So you go ahead.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd say this is probably the toughest one that I've had so far in terms of getting started anyway.
Yeah, no, it's tough because you're just trying to mentally work out in your head. Sharapova's not one, is she?
Sharapova has won all 4.
All 4, yeah.
Yeah, she's done quite well. I was surprised to remember that, but I think she's only won 5 in total. But
yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
French and Damien, do you have a guess to start off with?
Angelique Kerber is the quite easy one, I think.
Angelique Kerber, yeah, only won 3, but she's won 1 on each one. Which one's she missing?
French Open.
French Open, correct, yeah. So Angelique Kerber, we'll throw it open to either of you if you want to have any guesses now.
I think maybe Justina now might be missing Wimbledon.
Justina Nan is missing Wimbledon. She's won 3 French Opens. She's won an Australian and a US, 2 US, sorry. So, yeah, that's right.
Is Hingis one?
Hingis is correct as well, yeah.
Nice.
Martina Hingis, she's won.
Roland Garros?
She's missing the French Open.
Yeah.
She won 3 in 1 year. She won 3 in 1997. Eva Majoli was the player who won the French that year. Right, okay, so these are obviously older ones now. So we're talking about someone who did it around about, let's have a say, in the early 90s and was very, very successful.
Monica Seles.
Monica Seles is correct. She's missing
Wimbledon?
Wimbledon, yeah. She's missing Wimbledon. And then we're talking about someone from the 70s now, so this is a tough one to get. She's missing the US.
So that's gonna be quite random, I guess. Maybe is she
Goolagong.
Australian? Yeah, that's what
Yvonne Goolagong is the correct answer. Well done, guys. That's the 5. I mean, I will say that if anyone does know any of the others in the Open,